Just because white people think they're better than black people and they want to oppress us and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed.
This is the big, I agree with you perfectly. This is the basic problem.
Then what do you
that white people think they're better than others.
I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama. And I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated. Well, so you can have him.
Yeah, shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to King James Bible Precept Mastery, and I'm Elder Michael Johnson, the pastor over here. with King James Bible University, and today we're going to be going through Proverbs chapter 1, verse 3. But before we do, we do have some controversies that's happening, and we want to address those because tomorrow is a special day for some people. And the main thing is we want to show you again, right up front, what it is, because I want to share some things with you on what they say and what their scholars say, and I'm making sure their scholars is not based on what we do. Their scholars is their scholars. So before we do, make sure you have your pencils and paper, but then also you can clip this out to where you can send it to friends, families, husbands, wife, cousins, sisters, brothers, to where you sons, daughters, because I want you to see something. I want you to really pay attention to something that's going on. And we're going to be looking at this really close because tomorrow is Easter. It's the actual day. But I want to share a couple of things with you. One, Easter is only seen one time in the King James Bible. However, you have translators today in this modern time. They say that is a mistranslation. That's what they use that for. They say that was a mistranslation for back then because today they have it perfect. That's what they say. And so we read this and we're going to see something. But the main thing is, again, we got to hold to hardcore precepts on what the Bible says because somebody is lying. And what I say is that because if you can see where your Bible is a lie and you still hold to it, then you just like a lie. It's no other way to put this. Then you just like living a lie, no matter what. Even though if you find one error in your book, you're going to find many other ones. Or you might not be savvy enough or wise enough to see them. But you do have people who do know them. Let me share something with you. We're going to go over here to, actually I want to make sure this is turned on. We're going to go here to Acts chapter 12, verse 4. We want to see what this issue is. It's right here. It says, and when they apprehended him, they put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quadrants of soldiers to keep him tending after Easter. Right here. I'm going to dump that and we're going to put this one. Tending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. This is what's being said. Now, we have many people saying that, in these scholars saying that the King James Bible it's a mistranslation. I'm going to show you the reason why they're saying that, but then we want to hold to what the Bible says. So whatever the Bible says, or you're going to believe Bible, or you're going to believe man. It's one of the two. So we see over here, I had to go to the Blue Letter Bible. I had to go over there to where I can get the different translation way we want to say it. And we see them here, where you see one is the New King James Bible, which that's not such a Bible. That's the way where they was able to where they can copyright what they wanted and do all the changes. But we're gonna look right here. We're gonna see let me see if this will work. It should work in here. I believe it should. Yeah. Okay, so they translated this the same way. So now we're going to see how it says, so when they arrested him, they put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quadrants of soldiers, intending to bring him before the people after Passover. So you see here they're using Passover. But we're going to find out something. The reason why I want to take my time, make sure people understand this, because we see the same thing here. And this is using the NIV that's here. You see the NIV here. And it's saying, and after arresting him, they put him in prison, handing him over to be guarded by 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Okay, I can count, but I'm going to leave that alone. Herod intended to bring him out to the people, out to the public trial after Passover. Okay, so now we got Herod actually respecting Passover. But that's beside the point. We want to look at this one also. And this is the ESV. We see this one. And we see what this is saying. They're saying, and when they seized him, they put him in prison, delivering him to 4 squads of soldiers, guarded him, tending after Passover. So we have those. We want to look at, one second. That got it. Okay. And why is it showing like that? I don't know. Well, we'll see if I can, let me see. We can do that. I believe that should work it out some. So we want to make sure. Now we have the CSB and the NLT. And the CSB has the same thing here. I want to make sure we highlight this here. And it's saying Passover. The same thing, and they put him in prison, assigned 4 squads of soldiers, guarded him, tending, after to bring him forth to the people, which we see the same thing in the NLT. We see the same identical thing here. So now we have all these books is saying Passover, but King James by itself is saying Easter. We see it there. So I want to show you what we're going to do to where we can find out, because they saying that this is a mistranslation. They literally, you can go anywhere to check any top scholar. You can go to many universities where they continually tell you some of those are your top scholars of the world. And they're going to tell you, yeah, this is a mistranslation. So what we want to do, we want to go somewhere. And we got to test this to see is it a lie. So we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 23. We're going to write this down, but make sure you do this. We're going to go to chapter 23, but we're going to look at verse 5. This is something, but I wanted to make sure we touch on this before tomorrow. And we see it here. And I want you to write this down. Make sure everybody write this down. It says, in the 14th day of the first month is even, meaning this new day starting, is the Lord's, the Spirit of God's Passover. So now we're saying, telling us right here. Verse 6 is telling us something more. It says, including on the 15th day, the same month, is feast of unleavened bread unto the Spirit of God. 7 days ye must eat, must learn of pure knowledge of unleavened bread. That's all it's saying. So now we have that, but the main thing is, forgive me if I get some of this wrong, because I'm Leviticus chapter 23. Shoes. Why did I do that? Okay, it doesn't matter. I can just stretch them out. Don't worry, I'm gonna stretch them out to make sure we all on the same page. Okay, so now we see here. Now I'm gonna do agreements with everybody every time we do one, because I'm gonna do each one. If I have to, I'm gonna do each one to make sure we all on the same page. So in verse 5, and this is the New King James, it says, on the 14th day of the first month is twilight. They just saying twilight is the Lord's Passover. The only thing we want to focus on is the first month and what is Passover. So they saying on the 14th day of the first month is Passover, which is saying the same thing. 14th day of the first month is Passover. So I want to make sure thus far we all see is showing the same thing. So everybody who's seeing the same thing, just say aye. And we're going to move forward as we going through here. But I want to make sure everybody see the same thing, because I'm going to do each one to make sure we clearly see what's happening. I'm going to have to move this one out. And this one is the NIV. The NIV, I might have to move it over a little more. Okay, so same thing. We got to go over here again. Now, this one says a little bit different, but still saying the same thing. It's saying, the Lord's Passover begins at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. So it's still holding to the 14th day of the first month. So we still see that. Everybody who sees that just say aye, making sure that it's still coinciding. In the King James Bible, is saying the identical thing what these Bibles are saying. That's the point is being made. King James Bible is saying the same thing what these Bibles are saying. That's what I'm saying. Now we're going to look at verse 6. On the 15th day of the month, the festival of unleavened bread begins. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. So we see that there. Now, I didn't highlight that one, but we want to make sure that one is there over here also, because I didn't do that one. But we see here, the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So it's saying the same thing. So we see it saying the same identical thing. And I just want to make sure, we want to do our due diligence on each one. Now we want to go over to ESV, which is, this is a Bible they really highly respect. We're going to look at verse 23, and we're going to pull this over. We're going to pull them all over because I want to make sure we see it. We're going to look at this. The first month of the 14th day at twilight is the Lord's Passover. So we're saying the same thing here. It says the same identical thing. And then we see on the 15th day of the same month is Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's telling you the same thing that we see over in King James Bible. So we see the same thing. And we have two other Bibles we want to check because we want to do our due diligence. So we're going to go over there and look at those two Bibles and get to those. Because we had the CSB and we had the NLT. So the main thing is we want to go over here and we want to do our due diligence here also. So we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 5. Now, I don't know why this stand shape. Yeah. Okay, anyway. You see the Passover to the Lord comes first month at twilight, 14th day of the month. So it's saying the same thing, but we just see how they're reworded different ways, but it's saying the identical thing. Meaning Passover comes on the first month on the 14th day. So everybody's saying that, and you can see even it's saying the same thing with the King James Bible because it's telling us that right here. So the first day, the first month, the 14th day is the Lord's Passover. Then the 15th day of the same month is unleavened bread. So it's saying the same thing. But we want to do our due diligence to make sure everybody's saying the same thing. So now let's go over here. We're going to look at the other one. And this is the NLT. We're going to look at Numbers chapter 23. And we're going to go do the same thing. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. We're going to look at Leviticus 23 in verse 5. And it's telling you the Lord's Passover begins at sundown. So it's saying a little bit different. Sundown on the 14th day of the first month. And then the next day, we must begin celebrating the festival of unleavened bread. So now, with that, everybody's seen that. Do everybody agree, seeing that these all saying the same thing based in the law in Leviticus? All of them saying the first day, the first month on the 14th day is Passover, and on the 15th day is unleavened bread. Do everybody agree with that? And actually, I will put up a vote, but I promise you, I guarantee you somebody say no. But I just want to make sure. Everybody sit there and they agree. So now, since we have that and we understand that, we want to make sure we clearly get what's going on. So now, I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to sit there. I want to see something. I really want to see something. Yeah. Let me put this in here. Ooh. Lie. Would you I want you to put this in there because I'm gonna put that in there so you can mark yourself. I'm doing this to where you can mark and curse yourself if this is true. And it's saying if your Bible found to be a liar, found to be a lie, would you continue to use it? That's what I'm clearly asking you. And why I want to ask this, because when you sit there and you mark it, since we're not face to face, but we're having this conversation, and it's showing you that you will still you will hold on to a lie. Right now, we got a couple of people who still will continually use it. They still saying, I knew. See, those are the people that I really don't even want here. This is what people don't like when I even say that when I'm up front. But those people I wouldn't even want here. Because you willing to embrace a lie. That's the craziness. So if you're willing to embrace a lie, it's no reason for you to come here. Because we don't want you to embrace the lie. We're not trying to push a lie, so we don't We're not seeking you to embrace a lie from somewhere else and then you bring the lie over here. That's what I'm saying. So thus far, we got 114. Get a few more people. Once we do that, I'm going to end this poll. But just to show you how sensical people really is. See, some people do it for being facetious. Some people are doing it because they're honest. But the same thing is, if you're being facetious or being honest, these the type of people I care not to be around. That's what I'm saying. So we're going to end it. We got 126 people voted. We're going to end the poll, but you're going to see what this poll says. We got 1%. Well, really, it's 2% of the people that, because it said 2% before we ended it, that said yes, they'll continually use it. Those are the people I care not to even teach. We don't know who they are because they're in a mass. But the thing is, those are people who will believe anything. They'll take hold to anything. Even if they're being facetious, those are people I tend not to want to teach because of that. Because these type of people, when you in these kind of companies and then they decide they want to speak, they're going to speak to you their own thoughts, their own lies. That's why I don't like those. So let's look at something and we're gonna start going into it. So the same thing is a lot of people have those books and we get it. A lot of people have those books and I get it. But we want to understand what's going on. We want to understand what's going on. Now, what I want you to see is this. We got to go back. Let's go back now to see which book is actually lying. Because Easter, as I said, it's a real holiday. It's actually a real holiday. Not a holy day, but a real holiday. There's a difference. So when you look at this back at 4, you see what he said here. It says, and they apprehended and put him in prison to deliver him to 4 quadrants, so tending to keep him, tending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So we know first is Passover, then second is unleavened bread. Now the same thing is they couldn't figure out what to do. So when you look at verse 3, it tells you. It says, because he saw it pleased the Jews, he saw it pleased the followers of Christ, he proceeded further to take Peter also. But then right in parentheses, you're going to see some of them going to use this as actually what it's saying. And it's telling you right there, then were the days of unleavened bread. So now they're having the cart pulling the horse. Did everybody see that? Just say yes if everybody see that. So now they put unleavened bread first and they put Passover second. Do everybody see that? I just want to see eyes, just for the people who say eyes, just to say aye, just to see it. So we see what's going on. This is why we had a problem here. Because they literally put now unleavened bread first, but now they tending after Passover, which Passover is first. It's the 14th day of the first month. And unleavened bread is the 15th day. And they actually put the cart before the horse. So we see it here. Now, let's go over here and look over here and see what they have here for this. And we're going to look at this here. We want to look at these. Actually, let me stretch these out again. And we want to look at it. We're going to go to Acts chapter 12. And we're going to see verse 3. And we're going to see it says, and because he saw that it pleased the Jews, these followers of Christ proceeded further to take Peter also. Now watch how they do this. That's not in parentheses. It says, now it was during the days of unleavened bread. So you see, they put this before the horse. But you see right here, they still putting Passover. So this New King James Bible is 100% wrong. 100% based on itself. Because it implicated itself back in Leviticus. Because Leviticus and this one don't work together. It put one before the other. So this one here is deemed false. I don't care how we look at it, how you want to flip it, how you want to try to change it. It can't change. We're going to see this one over here. Let's look at Acts. So we're going to go to Acts chapter 12. We're going to do this one also. Acts chapter 12, and we're going to look at verse, we're going to go back up here to verse 3. It says, and they saw, and he saw that it met with the approval among the Jews, these followers of Christ, he proceeded to seize Peter also. This happened during the festival of unleavened bread. So we have an unleavened bread, but then they were going to keep him to after Passover. So again, this one put the cart in front of the horse. This one, the NIV, put the cart in front of the horse. Meaning this is false again because it implicated itself even in Leviticus. It did this by itself. So it's nothing that I'm showing you, but it's showing you what Scripture is, and it's showing you they following another doctrine. So we see the NIV is also another false book. It's a false book. And we're going to see this here. Let's go to the ESV. This is a widely used book also. So we got to look at Acts chapter 12 in verse 3. It says, when they saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. This was during the days of unleavened bread. So again, this one put the cart before the horse. So Easter is starting to be more and more understanding because you see here what's going on. They're putting the cart before a horse. Now you have most people will let men talk them out of this. Most people will do it. This is why you see I don't say certain things to people, because certain people will let men talk to them and they're talking right out of it. Yeah, that makes sense, and they'll believe it. They just hear. So that's why you see me don't say many things a lot of times talking about brothers and sisters. That's why a lot of that stuff I don't do, because some people will let people sell them anything. And we want to see this one also. Let me get this out the way. And we want to look at this one also. Let's go over here to Acts chapter 12. And we want to do the same thing in verse 3. And we're looking at this in the CSB. It says, when he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter during the festival of unleavened bread. So this one also, the CSB, also put the cart before the horse. I'm just showing you exactly what you see. And this is the problem people have, but people are going to hold on to it. People are going to use these still as study guides for whatever reason. They're going to use them as study guides. Let's look at the NLT. The NLT is an interesting one. We're going to look at this in Acts chapter 12 in verse 3. When Herod, this what cracks me up, some of them name them. And Herod saw how much this pleased the Jewish. This is a crack up. The Jewish people, he also arrested Peter and took place during Passover celebration. They got everything wrong. So he got Jewish, and then this doing Passover celebration, and it's not. It's supposed to be doing unleavened bread, but they just completely removed it. This is why I say it get really interesting when you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with translators. So this is why when you sit there and you look at the scriptures, this is why the King James Bible is one of the most targeted Bibles in the world. This is why. The reason, because they want to always discredit it, and they want to tell you it's mistranslated. So the main thing, what you got to remember is this, and you never forget this. When you look at this here, and you go to Jeremiah chapter 10 in verse 2, he tells you one thing that's really clear. And it says, thus said the Spirit of God, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. However, you're going to see a lot of them, they're going to sit there and they're going to translate this as a Gentile in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. And that's why most people will hold to it. Thus said the Lord, do not learn the way of the Gentiles and be not dismayed. That's why it uses that. That's why it uses that. And you see this, that they don't sit there and see much things there, but they want to hold to certain doctrines. The same thing you see here in Jeremiah chapter 10 And the same thing with verse 2. It's telling you the same thing. It says, this is what the Lord says. Do not learn the way of the nations. What nations? I'm telling you. Or be terrified of the signs of heaven. This is NIV. What nations? But that's beside the point. That is beside the point. But this is just showing you how people will sit there and they will take books and hold to things. And you can see all the confusion that it's causing. And this is why so much confusion today in this world. In the ESV, it says the same thing. It says, thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the nations, nor be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Again, confusion. Because these are heathen. These are straight heathens. But they want to make it sound somewhat good to push an ideology to you. And as we sit here and we look at the CSB, we'll see this one here in Jeremiah chapter 10. We're doing due diligence on each one. 10:2, it says, this is what the Lord says. Do not learn the way of the nations. Do not learn the way of the nations. Interesting. The NLT, no doubt what this going to say. 10:2, thus said, do not act like other nations. Or try to read their future in the stars. Do not be afraid of their predictions, even though the nations are terrified of them. This is what they do. But I promise you, some people that's even here is going to use those things. This is what we do. We hold on to things no matter what because they think that, well, I can sift through it and I can still do what I need to do to get this done. So this is why we have so many issues where people will talk about translation. But you see right there, you see the translations was proven wrong. Just based on just going through scripture, even in their own book. Because the NIV actually shows you how to worship Satan as well as the New King James Bible. Teaches you how to worship Satan. And people who love to use them, that's literally who they worship and don't even know they worshiping Satan. So this is why the issue is there. This is why the things are there. So hopefully, a lot of people going to celebrate. A lot of people going to put on that suit tomorrow. They're going to see something that don't make no sense. They're going to see things the way of heathens. I don't care how we flip it, how you look at it, how you strip it out. You're going to worship heathens' way. Because Easter is actually a holiday. And it's a holiday for heathens. They used to keep their holidays to run real closely with the Lord's holy days. That's all they did. But they want to tell us that the Bible, the King James Bible, is mistranslated. But the translator today made the corrections. Okay. So that brings us also to wisdom, to understand what wisdom is, to understand clearly what wisdom is and what it means. So to understand wisdom, we need to understand what we need to be doing with wisdom. And a lot of us look to gain wisdom in many different ways. And we have to be willing to seek it to do what we need to do with wisdom. In Proverbs chapter 1, verse 3, we looked at last week or the week before, we was looking at 1:2. But it says to receive instruction of wisdom. So that's telling how to receive instruction of wisdom. Justice and judgment and equity. How to receive something. How are we going to receive wisdom? You got to receive it. So once you receive the instructions of wisdom, you have to have justice and judgment and equity with it. This is the interesting part. So to receive this wisdom, that's why he says it's better than rubies. It's better than fine gold, because we have to understand the importance of receiving something, and it has an instruction manual that we have right now. We're very looking at right now. This is an instruction manual on how to care for it. The book of Proverbs is known, and it emphasizes on wisdom and the instructions of the verse that it serves, as a reminder that wisdom is not something that comes naturally, but it's the need to be sought after, to receive instructions. Instructions is of the wisdom and justice, and this emphasizes the importance of equity, which means being fair and being just in our dealings even with others. This includes treating people with respect and avoiding dishonesty and deception, striving to live in harmony even with others while you're here. This is what we have to understand. The application of writers that want to take this statement, the important thing of wisdom, instructions of living, equitable ways, and what we mean, excuse me, in learning from others and seeking advice and guidance, which is necessary for living and being fair and respectful in those around us, which we can cultivate different things in meeting and proposals. So we need to understand exactly what this is saying. To receive wisdom, to receive this instructions of wisdom, justice, and judgment. So we need to look at the broader sense, which emphasizes the value of this educating ourselves in our pursuit of knowledge of wisdom. It encourages us to seek wisdom and understanding in areas of our life. And it's a matter of justice and morality. So by doing things, we can gain this deeper understanding of the world and to make better decisions aligned with God's will, because that's the point. True wisdom is not something that you can attain on your own, but most people think you can. But you cannot. Most people think you can attain wisdom, godly wisdom, from your parents, and you can't. Most people think you can, but you can't. They can teach it to you to where you can go to God and you can learn how to get it. But parents mainly going to teach you worldly wisdom. That's why most of us were sitting in Christian churches. We got to know how to receive instructions and guidance and comprehension to understand what the Bible contains, God's wisdom, and it highlights the importance of seeking out wise mentors and teachers who can impart their knowledge of their experience from the Bible, and they can give you godly wisdom to where it encourages you to seek out and embrace wisdom, justice, and judgment. This is what it does. This is why it's getting a little bit more important on why we need to understand something. See, because the objective, I want you to write this down. The objective. We have an objective that we have to write down. We have to keep our eyes on. The objective is to understand the importance of seeking wisdom and understanding it. Let's look at something. In James chapter 1 and verse 5. Let me put this highlight on. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberty and upbraideth not, it shall be given him. So if we lack wisdom, the discourse of this verse is showing us the importance of seeking wisdom, the assurance that God will provide those who ask. With this sincerity and his faith, he emphasizes the ideal of true wisdom that comes from God, that comes directly from God, to where you can attain this humbleness and earning desire to where you can know and understand God's ways. So we are encouraged as believers to turn to God in times of need and to where we trust in him. He will provide wisdom, understanding, and the necessary to navigate these life challenges that goes before us. So when we reflect on this verse, it emphasizes the importance of wisdom and understanding. There are many verses in this Bible that stress the importance. Even when you look at Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. Let me highlight that in verse 20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise. That's why I said people who did that, who saying, well, I'm going to still study these false books. That's why I said they just over here. They just over here. But that's people that I care not to teach. I care they go wherever they want to go. Because they're going to always be unwise. It says, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. They just over here. But I promise you they'll open their mouth up to something stupid. This is why it's so important when you're seeking counsel and you companion of fools, you can suffer harm. Surrounding yourself with counsel can help you gain insight and understanding. Walking with wise and seeking to be wise, you never seek companion of fools. It'll drive you crazy. Understanding the discourse and understanding what's going on, the importance of choosing good company and surrounding yourself with wise people, it suggests that by your walking with wise, you can gain wisdom, knowledge, and you can avoid and you can navigate through consequences that associate with foolish people. With foolish people. Sometimes we can't avoid foolish people. They're going to do foolish things, act foolishly. But wise, you know how to cut that off and go your own way. People choose to keep company with foolish people. I don't know why. The emotional harm, they have these problems which they go through, which it tells you right here, he that walketh with wise men be wise, but companion of fools shall be destroyed. This is why a lot of people who they be in companion with certain people, and all of a sudden, you getting caught up just because you was associated, just because you was in the wrong area. You know how many times that happened? You are guilty by association. You know how many people sitting in jail? I just seen about a week ago. This man was in jail for 60 years. No, 63 years. Just like guilt by association. 63 years he did. Just let him out. By association. Being with unwise people. Because you make a choice for yourself. You have young women who want to be out with their girlfriends, this and that, and they'll make an unwise decision. They want to be with the in crowd. She's end up drinking something she shouldn't have drunk or smoked something she shouldn't have smoked. Next thing you know, she lost all her purity. Lost all purity. And then the first thing, I don't know what I did. No, because you was hanging out with unwise people. So once you sitting there with companions of fools, that's why your purity was destroyed. That purity was destroyed, and you see the similitude of that. And that purity you can never get back. You see people that do these things, and they do it on purpose because you want to hang out with fools. When you're practicing justice and fairness, you see this where it says it's to receive instructions of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity. So you have to take your time with this. And another way to see this, even for our younger folks, for you to see this in a better way, I want you to write it down. Even for our older folks who really don't quite understand it, but this can gain you to where you can start getting it. When you want to look at wisdom, I want you to look at it this way, especially for my younger people. Look at wisdom and put a thing there and put God in mystery. God in mystery. Why do I say that? Because he's going to do things. His thoughts is not your thoughts. Your thoughts, you want to hang with that friend. His thoughts said, no, you can't be with him. It's God in mystery. Why? Because I don't want you with him. Another way you can see it is simple. When you see it simple, spirit. Plain, straightforward. Understanding. I want you to look at this another way also for my younger people. Understanding. That's giving you the ability to discern truth and make good judgment. I want you to make sure you write that down. Understanding, I want you to put an equal sign there for my younger people, because as you build in just this understanding, you're going to start learning things, and then you can cross over to spiritually minded things. But understanding is giving you the ability to discern truth and make good judgment. That's what that's for. Understanding. I want you to write that down. This is for all my young people. For all my young people. Even the old people, if you need to put that there, put it there. So you can build up to it to where you can start understanding things spiritually when we teach them. Justice. I want you to write down justice. We want you to see how I want you to see this. And where you just starting off to walk with God. And I want you to see something a little bit different. Injustice is fairness and righteousness. Justice is fairness and righteousness. I want you to keep that and write that down. Make sure you have that. Judgment. Judgment. That's an interesting one. Because judgment is decision making and discernment based on the doctrines and teachings that you learn. You can make decisions, or you can do decision making based on the doctrines and teachings you learn. They're going to give you judgment. I want you to write those down. I want you to write all those down. I want you to have a complete understanding on this, but I want to take it to you another way to where it can build you up, to where you can understand when you see those words in the Bible. I want you to look at the most simplest ground level way to where you can start building yourself up, to where you can crawl and get up, at least stand up and hold on to the counter. The reason why I want to show you that, let me show you something. I want to show you this here. Let's go over here to Job and let's look at Job or something. Job chapter 28. We're going to look at verse 28. And unto the man he said, remember the fear of the Creator. That is wisdom. So the desire of the Creator, that is wisdom. That's interesting. The reason this is so interesting because it's simple. It's not complex. It's simple. Because if you sit there and you having the desire of the Creator, that is wisdom, and depart from evil is understanding. So as soon as you depart from evil, you understood something. You understood that's not good for me. That's not good for me. When you see simpler terms, true wisdom, understanding come from respecting the desires of God. Making choices, you're going to avoid wrongdoing, evil things. In order to be truly wise, then you're going to focus on living good and righteous according to God's will. That's the point. That's the main fact that you're looking to do. So in many practices, you're seeing many traditions. Wisdom is not merely an intellectual knowledge, but it's involved moral and spiritual insight. True wisdom comes from recognizing one's place in the world and living according to God's will. This includes cultivating your virtues, such as you want to cultivate your humility, you want to cultivate compassion, you want to cultivate selflessness. Seeking to understand the mysteries and the oracles of God. That's why I said that at first. Wisdom is God in mystery. But if we're going to see God in mystery, we want to understand those mysteries, which is God's oracles in his nature. That's why I said that the first time. Through his process, you can gain these deeper understandings of the world. You can get those which is meaningful and fulfillment. Ultimately, your pursuit of wisdom and understanding is a long life journey because you're going to end up hungering for it. You're going to constantly seek this. And it requires constant reflection. It requires constant prayer, and it requires constant dedication to God. This is what it does. Because when you sit there and you have something, the same thing some people, you might just bought a car. You just bought a house. You just bought something that's brand new. You're going to care for it. You're going to wash the car every week. You get out there. People get out there every weekend. They wash it, shine it up. Based on the instructions. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm being honest. I bought many new cars in my life. But I'm going to tell you, I'm being straight honest with you. I haven't never at one time read the instruction pamphlet. Just never. When I can't do something, I done look through it. Because I remember one car I had. I didn't know where I had a flat. I didn't know what I was gonna go ahead and change the tire. I didn't know what a jack was. Couldn't find a jack to save my life. Then another one, actually my current car, after I had it, the battery died. So I'm going to change the battery. Oh, dumb Michael. I'm going to change the battery. I'm looking for the battery. I figured, well, see, this is going to tell on myself, but that's okay. I'm looking for the battery. The battery's supposed to be under the hood. I'm looking under the hood. The battery ain't there. So I got a problem. I'm sitting there, mind you, I used to be a street racer, and I'm sitting there. I know this battery. Now I know this car is running on the battery, but the battery is dead. It's telling me the battery is dead. I can't find the battery. So I called AAA. What's worse, AAA, young guy, couldn't have been no more than 25, 26. Shows up. I said, yeah, the battery dead. He said, yeah, let me check. Now, he got me. I'm going to tell you how he got me. Because he was still able to go to the front of the car and check it. Now, how he did that, I don't know. So I'm sitting there, I said, now I know, I'm looking right, I'm watching him closely. I'm saying, I know good and well, there's no battery up there. So he said, well, your battery's no good. So I had to ask, hey, guy, well, tell me something. How you gonna tell me the battery ain't no good and there's no battery up here? He said, no, the battery's not there, but I can check it here. Oh, okay, all right. So he told me the price of the battery that, AAA, they have battery. Yeah, okay, go ahead, you change the battery. The battery is inside the car, behind the passenger seat. I kid you not. He popped that thing open. I look, and the battery is sitting right there. And I'm looking like, now I would have looked for 45 years for that battery. I wouldn't have never, because I had to move, it got carpet back. I would have to move the carpet up, but then it has some screws. You screw it up and battery, you pull that little panel up, battery sitting right there, plain as day. I don't get it, but it was right there. So it took him only once he changed it only took him about like 10 minutes to change it. That's about all it took him. But I'm sitting there, but it tripped me out. And he knew it tripped me out because I didn't expect the battery to be there. But it was right there. But that's just showing you what's going on. Because I thought I was going to check him. How you going to tell me? Because I wanted to see, is this some new little wave battery that's only a thumb size big? See, that's what because see, now my mind going everywhere because I want to know how he know this battery is no good. And I don't, and I personally, I know I don't see a battery. And I know they ain't changed the look of batteries. So it was a big issue there. But the understanding, we had to get this wisdom. So the same thing is to receive instructions of wisdom and justice and judgment and equity. We have to, it's like a book, which you have in your hand. And we have to go through it and go through it and go through it. In fact, show you something in Psalms. We'll see this in Psalms 111. In 111, we're going to look at something in verse 10. It's right here. The fear of the Spirit of God is the beginning of wisdom. Exactly the point. Because it's telling you the same thing. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. So we have to be doing something. That's going to come back up to haunt us in a second. So don't worry about that. Because that who do his commandments, this is going to come back to us. So don't worry. This is going to come back. This is going to visit us again. But I'm going to take you somewhere else. But this is going to visit us again. His praise endures forever. So all our confessions endures forever. So this fear, this desire is what we're looking for. Rather than having this healthy reverence and respect, people look for it, but this type of fear, acknowledging God's power and authority and his holiness, recognizing his own thing, and we have limitations and God don't. In fact, when you look at this in a better way, we see this in Sirach, chapter 40, verse 26. Verse 26. Riches and strength lift up the heart. Riches and strength lift up the heart. But the fear, the desire of Yahweh is above them both. Riches and strength lift up the heart, according to flesh. But the desire of the Creator is above them both. There is no want in the fear of the Creator. And it needed not to seek help. Like me, when I was seeking help for the battery. It don't need help. Riches and strength need help. He don't. And it needed not to seek help. So when we look at this in a better way, this is why I say we have to get this wisdom. We have to get it. And we can get it, don't let it go. You don't let this wisdom go. When you're looking at it in a better way, and people will sit there and say, well, I'm going to still do this way and do it that way and do it this way and I'm going to do it another way. We're doing certain things we shouldn't be doing, but we still think wisdom going to help us out in many ways. In Proverbs 16:16, it says, how much better is it to get wisdom than gold? Because some people they're going to sit there and say, well, I'd rather have money in the hand than wisdom of God. Many of us going to see it that way, and to get understanding whether to be chosen than silver. So get understanding rather than chosen than silver. Some people want to do that. Some people are going to take money way over what's going on there. Some people are going to take that way over that. But the main thing is you want to sit there and you have to look at wisdom, what you have in your mind, the understanding that you got of God. You can't even put a price on it. It's hard for some people to understand because they say, because I got it. To show you what wisdom is. And if you live in California or you live in other cities where there's a Tiffany's, I want you to go to Tiffany's. Anybody who live close to Tiffany's, anybody close to a jewelry store like Tiffany's, can you just put an eye? Because I'm going to ask you to do something. Everybody who's lived close to like a Tiffany's or a jewelry store, not a used jewelry, a brand new jewelry store where they sell really high end jewelry, not just regular high end jewelry. And we got a few of them. Got a few of them, which is good. I want all you guys to do me a favor, especially the ones with kids. Especially the ones with kids. I need you to take them on a field trip. The ones who don't have kids, I want you to go there yourself. So if you don't have kids, go there yourself. If you have kids, take them. I want you to go in there. I want you to take them inside the place. And I want you to find the biggest diamond, the most expensive diamond in there. Some of them might won't take it out the box. Don't worry about that. You just want the price of it. You just want the price of it. And when you're going to Tiffany's, a carat gonna run you more than $100,000. So I'm gonna run a little bit higher, based on how it's set. But I want you to show your kid that. And if you don't have a kid with you, I want you to look at it. And I want you to understand one thing. One thing I want you to clearly understand. The wisdom that you have that's coming out this Bible is worth more than what you see in front of you. So the crazy part is this. You sitting there looking at something might cost a couple of $100,000. But what costs a couple of $100,000 can't even purchase what you have in you. You couldn't buy it if you wanted to. You couldn't afford it. If you sat right there and say, well, I'm tell you what, this jewelry is way out of my price range. What's in you, you couldn't buy it if you had Bill Gates to give you the money. That's what I'm saying. You couldn't buy it if you wanted to. You can sit there like, well, how much? You can't afford it. You just can't afford it. You can sit there and say you can afford it, but you can't afford it. I promise you. People will sit there and tell you all day long, oh yeah, I can buy this, I can buy. Same thing like you sit there and see, most people who know me over here, I talk about Bugattis, this and that. But the main thing is my main favorite cars is really Porsche 911s. That's really my favorite car. But the thing is this. When you look at cars, Bugattis, these $3 to $5 to $6 million cars, it can't even touch the price of what you have in your head. It can't even touch it at all. It's impossible. And it's in each and every one of you. It just depends on what you want to do with it. It just depends on what you plan on doing with it. It depends. It's up to you. So this is the deal, and this was the problem. Is what a lot of people have. So let's look at something. I want to show you something, and let's go back over here to. We're gonna go back over here to Proverbs, because most people don't understand the worth that they have in them. Most people don't understand this. Most people don't understand how much you got in you. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you guys were worth money to where I can put a number on it, I'll be a multi-cotillionaire with the people that's in here that sitting under the studies that we went through and walked through the ways of the Lord. I'll be a cotillionaire. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's look at something in Proverbs chapter 3, but we're going to look at this in verse 13. It says, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. Do you know how many people done did that here? You find wisdom, but then you get the understanding of it. You set up. But then best, look at this in verse 14. For the merchandise, that knowledge, the knowledge you got, is better than merchandise of silver, including the gain thereof is than fine gold. All I'm doing is taking you to the well. God is giving you guys the increase. He's giving you this increase, and you guys are sitting there enjoying every bit of the way. Learning everything you need to know. People don't understand that part of it. It's telling you more so when we look at verse 15. She is more precious than rubies. We talked about that earlier. Wisdom is way more precious than rubies, and in all things Candace desire cannot be compared to her. You can't compare nothing to her. I'm telling you. People, well, I can give him a tell me something. What will one verse? Remember that one with Chris Rock where he said, "How much is one rib?" Remember, I know most people remember that movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but he's saying, "How much is one rib?" So the same thing. Some of you guys might say, "How much?" I wonder is one verse a cost. Well, how much will one verse? Can't put a price on it. You can't put a price on it. Is that one verse worth $300 billion? Yes. Yes. People sitting there, if you completely understand it and understand, it's worth eternity. Understand what that's, it's worth eternity. That $1 billion can get burned up. The knowledge you have cannot even be burned up. It's impossible. You can't even burn it up. You can go get all the tanker trucks you want. You can't even do nothing. You can't do nothing to it. And it's in you. It's in you. Your body is the safe. Inside what belongs to God. Buried in the dirt. And you got the combination and know where it is. In a nutshell. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Let's look at something as you sit there and you see Jehovah's word and it's God's word. He stressed his wisdom is more valuable than any precious thing and material things you can see in this world. This is why it's so important to always keep understanding what the word of God is. It's real close, and we need to understand this. In Proverbs chapter 21, verse 31, saying something that's really helping and inspiring, and we're going to see something. We're going to see something. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but, however, safely is the Spirit of God. The reason why it is kind of funny, I'm going to explain it to you. Why the horse is made ready for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Creator. The horse is ready, but the Lord already won. See, I didn't get it. That's okay. Anybody get it? Because I know I won't be laughing by myself. But the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safely is the Spirit of God. He already won. The horse is getting ready. Hopefully somebody, yeah, okay, I'm not by myself. I thought I was by myself, but I'm not by myself. I got people with me. So some people get what he's doing. People getting ready. That's just like me. Let's look at me. And let's say we in prime. We in our prime. and now mind you, let's go. I'm gonna go to the baddest man that was boxing at the time. And we're gonna go to Mike Tyson. We're going to look at Mike Tyson in his prime. And then the same thing with me. I don't box. I'm not a professional boxer. So that's just like me preparing for battle against Mike Tyson. See, I can sit there and talk about how bad I am all day long. This is what this man did for a living. See, people misunderstand that. This is what he do. This is what he trained for every day. He trained. He technically is a natural born killer. So he's sitting there, he probably go drinking tequilas and everything else Because he already know he going to dwell safe. He said, well, I'm going to get in there, do an uppercut, and it's over. That's it. The guy going to hit me one time as soon as he exposes himself, because he studies boxing. He'll say, hey, boom, done. You know how he turn his neck and then turn around and walk away? It'll be one of those. It's one of those. We've been prepared against the day of battle, but the Lord is already dwelling safely. That's what we getting to. That's what we want to be to. As people sitting there preparing for the day of battle, we are already resting safely in the Lord. The same thing. So you got people sitting there saying, oh, we're going to get caught up. We're going to dwell with him for 1,000 years. They don't even know the resurrection has already happened. You got to wake up, because the second resurrection, you don't have no power. It's what it is. So we have to look at that and see what this verse emphasizes in the strength and the power, where you see animals ultimately become worthless when you're dealing with the power of God. So fear of the Lord is more valuable than any physical thing that leads to wisdom and understanding. It's greater to where we're looking at the material possessions and the physical abilities. So the fear of the Lord is also acknowledging God's ultimate power. The authority, we recognize our own independence in him rather than seeking some man. It's a cool thing to think about. To show you something a little bit more, to get more into this, and we're going to look at something in Luke chapter 12, but we want verse 5. We want to hear something from Yahushua, where he speaks and Christ is speaking through him. It's right here. In Luke chapter 12, but verse 5, he says this. He says, but I will forewarn you whom ye should fear. See, a lot of us have a fear for different things and different reasons. But I will forewarn you whom you should fear. So he's going to warn us who we shall fear. Fear him which after he have killed have power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. This the one you fear, who can cast your butt into hell. In fact, when you look up here in verse 4, it's telling you the same thing, but it's telling you the different part. Let me sit there and see. You see what it says there. I say to you, my friends, be not afraid of them that can kill the body. And after that, have no more they can do. Yeah, they can't do. Once they kill, it's nothing else they can do to you. Nothing. The one down here can not only do that, he can cast you into hell. That's the one you fear. Everybody get that? Because people sit there like they scared of death. And they, oh man, I'm scared of this guy, I'm scared of that guy, I'm scared of this guy, I'm scared of... Yeah, don't fear him. That's all if he do you, that's all you can do to him. But that one that's after him, who can cast your butt right into hell, that's the one you fear. That's the one you fear. So this is a humble acknowledgement of God's greatness and recognition for this smallness in comparison with the fear. It's the foundation of wisdom. Because it leads God's guidance and for us and to follow his ways. Helps us to acknowledge real good decisions and to live a pleasing life for God and to avoid these pitfalls and this foolishness and pride. So the Lord, the Creator, is the beginning of wisdom, emphasizing his true wisdom and understanding, and where it comes from in respecting desires of God. So it's not just enough to where we can simply acknowledge intelligence, but one must also have reverence and respect for God in his commandments. Remember that I told you that's going to come back up, but this is going to come back up even more. Think about the phrase, fear of the Lord. Think about that. Fear of the Lord refers to this deep sense of awe in respecting God's power and authority. The fear of the Lord. You're going to fear him, his wisdom. It states good understanding in all that thou do, his commandments. You see how this coming back. A lot of this stuff coming back to us, to bite us. Obeying his commandments, following God's will, according to his wisdom and understanding. This statement, his praise, his confessions endure forever. This reminds us that God's goodness and wisdom is eternal. It's right up in front of us. In fact, I'm going to show you something in Proverbs chapter 4. I want to show you this. And look at this in Proverbs 4. Looking at verse 5. Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not. Once you get bold, don't forget it. Neither decline from the words of my mouth. This is Christ speaking. Don't sit there and don't want it. Yeah, I'm good, God. I'm good. How many of us, I done it before. I'm good. Lord, give you advice through his word. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to do it my way. Never turned out good, but I'm going to do it my way. Sit there, see the scriptures telling you don't do something a certain way. But did it. Didn't work out good. And you see these things here. It says, forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and shall keep thee. Exactly what's going on. Exactly what's going on. You sit there and the word and told you not to do something, and we did it. When you sit there and you look at even Sirach, he gets in on this. He gets in on this same thing in Sirach chapter 1, looking at verse 14. Actually, why is it? I don't know why I like to do that sometime. Why do I do this? I don't know why. Sirach 1:14. It's here. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. It's kind of a catch-22. It was created with the faithful in the womb. So we got to know, was it the womb from our mother, or is the womb that we are in the world? That's the one we got to think about. That's the one we need to think about. The verse highlights wisdom and is created from the faithful in the womb, meaning this divine gift is presented to all people from birth. It's presented to you. But did you take it? Wisdom is not merely, as I was saying, an intellectual pursuit, but it's ultimately tried with our relationship with God. It encourages our lives in reverence and fullness. And God's order is deep development and growing wisdom. Here's what it is. We can't get around it. We can't get around this, and he's going to keep hitting us. But we want to understand fully what wisdom is. What wisdom is. And wisdom of Solomon, we have to go to him. We got to go to him. And he's telling you right up front, wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given to me. I called upon God, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. The wisest man that ever lived. The wisest man that ever lived. Asking for wisdom. The wisest man that ever lived. Asking for wisdom. I don't think people don't really understand the magnitude of that. The wisest man that ever lived on this earth, and until this earth leaves, that's going to be the wisest man that ever lived. He's asking the Spirit of God for wisdom. He prayed for understanding it was given to him. He's seeking guidance from God. He's not even banking on his guidance. He's banking on God's guidance. Let's go somewhere. This should trip all of us out. That should be tripping all of us out. Literally be tripping all of us out with that alone. In Colossians chapter 1, looking at verse 9. Looking at verse 9. For this cause we shall also, since the days we heard it and do not cease to pray for you, and you desire that ye might be filled with knowledge. That you may be filled with knowledge. In his will, in all wisdom. That you might be filled with knowledge. In his will, in all wisdom. In spiritual understanding. Not worldly or carnal understanding. You don't change that. Ye may walk worthy of the Creator, unto a pleasing, being fruitful in good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God. This is all we've been harping on. This is the only thing we've been harping on how to get something, but telling you the importance on how we need to be seeking out of that book that you have there. You might have paid $20 to a couple of $100 for your book, but you don't know. They gave you a gold mine, especially if you understand it. You have a gold mine in your hand. I'm gonna show you something. I wasn't gonna do, but I want to show you something. In 1 Kings chapter 3. I want to show you something. We're gonna pick this up at verse 5, but we're gonna go down for a minute. I want to show you something. Verse 5, it says, in Gibeon, the Spirit of God appeared unto Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, ask what I shall give thee. Ask what I should give you. I want you to see what should I give you? And Solomon said, Thou showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according to as he walked before thee in truth and in the righteousness and uprightness of heart and with thee, and thou hast kept him this great kindness, and thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, which he's talking about himself, as it is this day. But it gets better. This gets way better. And now, O Spirit of God, my God, thou hast made me servant, king, and instead, in replace of David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. I don't know how to do neither one. But he gonna break it down to him. But this is what goes on. And thy servant in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. You ain't gonna ask for no Bugatti. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to teach thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to teach this thy so great a people? Who can do this? He ain't asking for give me $50 billion, give me this. No. He want an understanding heart. The speech pleased the Creator, in that Solomon asked this thing. So Spirit through this prophet replied, and God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, thou hast not asked thyself for long life. He didn't ask for long life, neither asked for riches. No, he didn't ask for a Bugatti like me. For thy nor thou asked for the life of thy enemies. No, he ain't did that. And thou hast but have asked for thyself understanding and discern judgment. You didn't do nothing like Elder Johnson would have did. No. So he says that. Remember, I have done according to thy word. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. This is so you see, nobody else is ever. So we can say like this: I has not asked, which is in honor. Father David